Eileo guys, and welcome back. Hopefully everyone's doing well out there, and if you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Eileo, and if you're not new to the channel, hello, my name is Eileo, and in today's video we do have the Garuda Ultimate Evolution. And the good part about this is that I needed to update the old Garuda video anyways, so I'm killing two birds with one stone, even though we do have a bird up here and it's only one bird, but you know, you get it. But anyways, we're going to start off here with the fire type, and we're going to go through the water, wood, light and dark. You guys know the whole spiel. So let's go and start off with this bad boy right here. So I will say very quickly, very interesting design on him. Like, Garuda's out here with hands, my boys. Like, look at that. Look at that. And he looks freaking awesome. I think he looks absolutely amazing. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Garuda's design, but yeah, he looks great. But let's take a look at these lovely stats. So for Fire Garuda, who is a defender type as well, he's coming in with 34k HP, 2.4k attack, nearly 2.5, and then 4k defense. Fair enough stats. I mean, defender, plenty of defense. Though I do feel like there's a couple of Astramon with maybe defense higher than him, though I could be imagining things here. But his stat distribution's okay, but stats don't really matter if your skills are trash. So let's slide over here to his lovely skills. So his 3-star skill is going to be Seal, grants 100% chance to seal the enemy's passives for 2 turns. But we also have Crystallization now, so that's kind of, questionable, even though it's on his 3-star skill. And then his 5-star skill is going to be Stun, grants 80% chance to stun the enemy for 1 turn. Garuda is AoE, so keep that in mind. And also for his leader skill, there's Critical Boost, which boosts up the critical rate of your party. This is useful for early on in the game, but obviously as you get better mons and better leader skills, that's going to drop off fairly quickly. So I mean, a variant Garuda is still a flex because it's a nat 5, but ultimately its usage is very limited here. And he also brings in the lovely ultimate skill of Defense Aggression, which makes sense because he has a lot of defense. I'm totally down with that. However, nothing about Seal or Stun really promotes damage anyways, so this is pretty much like a secondary effect to where it's like, okay, he gets to a point of where he's not doing crowd control skills or CC skills, and he's just adding in a little bit extra damage here and there if you decide to use him. But before you decide to use him, let's take a look at these lovely skill books first. So Seal does get a 20% damage boost and goes up to, what was that, 3 turns? Yeah, 3 turns. Stun gets a 15% damage boost and goes up to 2 turns, 90%. That's pretty chunky, but as a nat 5, that is a very steep investment for this guy right here. So while the defense aggression upgrade to him I think is respectable, at least in my honest opinion so far with the Garudas that we've covered, which is just this one right here. My whole problem with Fire Garuda is that yes, he looks cool, but with his whole spiel being crowd control, there's not really much utility to be brought out of him versus, you know, running in here with someone else. Maybe if he had resistance down versus Seal on his 3-star skill, that could be a little bit more interesting because you have that crowd control and extra damage from the defense aggression kicking in once his HP gets low. But in this current state, I mean, you can go ahead and flex them if you want, but yeah, it's going to be a no for me, dog. And then we're moving over here to Water Garuda, who is an attacker type coming in with 27k HP. Wow. That just seems abnormally low. Maybe I'm just like, maybe I hit my head or something, but 27k HP, Ultimate Evolution? But anyways, he does have a 4k attack stat and then a 3.2k defense stat. So attack and defense are pretty chunky. 4k attack is, you know, very optimal in this situation right here. And 3.2k defense does help with survivability. Hence why his HP might be what it is right here. But let's go and take a look at these skills. So for his 3-star skill, there's defense down, 80% chance to reduce the enemy's defense for 2 turns. This pairs up great with other mons that have Hunter, Predator, etc. of that nature because Garuda inflicts his defense down on them. You have your other nukers come in there, hit them like a butt cheek on a stick, and you know, life goes on. Then the 5-star skill, we have Elemental Edge. I've said this in past videos, especially if you're new here. Not a big fan of Elemental Edge, but I will kind of accept it if it's preferably on a Darkmon. Still arguably not my favorite skill, but once again, I will kind of give it a pass if it's on a Darkmon. Obviously I would prefer Predator or Hunter, but I don't make the game, I just do videos, FYI. And then for the ultimate skill, he has resistance down, which grants a 25% chance to reduce the enemy's resistance for 2 turns upon attacking an enemy suffering defense down status. To me, this is one of the most bizarre things I would have expected from Water Garuda, because his defense down probability is already pretty chunky. But in terms of like, I guess if it doesn't stick, then resistance down could be beneficial, but this move only activates, if I'm reading this correctly, if defense down sticks already. So why would I need to reduce their resistance if they're already, you know, debuffed with defense down, when I instead could push more damage with my 4k attack stat and my elemental edge? Like, this synergizes more so with other, I guess, Astromon on your team right here, especially if you want to kind of combine them with different elements, defense down, shock, etc. But I don't know, it just seems a little bit bizarre, because resistance down, even though he has more so of like a debuff slash damaging kit, just, I don't know, it hits different. So feel free to leave in the comments below about what you guys think about this skill. I just think it's weird. It's not bad, but just bizarre. I'll put it like that. But anyways, defense down does receive a 15% damage boost and goes up to, what was that, 100% for 2 turns. Okay, chunky. And then elemental edge does receive a whopping 35% damage increase. Very good increase. However, the issue that we run into here is that even though he has elemental edge, he is an RGB mon, meaning other, you know, mons can slay him just fine. And with a 27k HP stat, I would also be kind of sus about that. So it's not so much that Water Garuda is inherently terrible, it's just that he will always be at a elemental disadvantage because we do have light and dark mons. This isn't saying that he's not useful, but steep investment for a mon that you could probably throw books into a better version if you're lucky enough to pull it. And then next up, we have the one that I am excited about, you guys. We do have a lovely Wood Garuda, big staple over here in Titans. He's coming in with that balance type action, sitting at 35k HP, 3.7k attack, and then 3k defense. Okay, not as high as the attacker, but considering that he has about 10,000 more HP than the water version, you know, I will take that little, you know, markdown of my attack and defense for that. So let's take a look at these lovely skills right here. So for his 3-star skill, weaken, 70% chance to weaken the enemy for 2 turns. Weaken foes have reduced attack and defense. Very helpful for Titans and Colossus. Arguably, I guess, the dimensional dungeon, if you want to rock him there as well. I don't have any judgment for you with that. And then for the 5-star skill, Courageous Strike. If a monster has a lot of HP that isn't the Apophis dungeon, hopefully you can get some damage off on him. So once again, Titans and the Colossus, arguably, he could be useful for you right there. And then for his ultimate skill, he does have Water Stalker, which increases his critical hit rate by 40% when attacking Water Astromon. Okay, now does the Titan count as an Astromon? I mean, we don't have him in an Astro Guide, so is he technically an Astromon? If he's not, that's going to be rest in peace to the squad, but hopefully this works out. So on paper, he does get a nice boost in damage, which is pretty much only relevant to his 5-star skill, because weaken is just a debuff skill, just like defense down. It's purely for debuffing. Obviously, you do get that added, you know, initial damage, but Courageous Strike is just a modifier applied to his original damage, plus the added critical hit rate means you can kind of compromise with some of his critical hit rates and maybe pump some more into his attack or crit damage instead. So decent upgrade, more so of just his stats for survivability, with the Water Stalker being kind of like a secondary effect, if that makes any sense. So Weaken does receive a 10% damage boost and also goes up to, what was that, 90% for 3 turns? Nope, 80% for 3 turns, okay. And then it looks like Courageous Strike receives a 30% damage boost once again. So if you like super hard into Titans and like Water Titan is just your niche, and if you have Garuda books laying around, feel free to dump it into him. I don't think this is a super duper big game breaker though, because with him having his Courageous Strike on his 5-star skill only, your investment in terms of books could be better used somewhere else, or better utilized somewhere else, especially if you have access to other Nat 5 books like Wood Merlin, for example, where he's going to be your dedicated damage dealer and not your debuffer slash damage dealer on the side. So I still would say that Wood Garuda is a great investment, even if you don't have the books on him. If you can get him up to his ultimate evolution, it's perfectly fine. If you end up pulling a light or dark Garuda later on down the line, and you don't really care about hitting that much damage in like Water Titan, for example, throw it on them, move on. If not, go ahead and pull some more trinkets and get all of your Garudas decked out, man. And then moving past that, here we do have Light Garuda, who's also an attacker type just like the water one here, and I'm glad that they upgraded his shock, because quite a while ago his shock was worse than Light Yuki, which Light Yuki is a nat 4, which I would also argue that anyone's able to get, because if you just play the game long enough, especially once anniversary comes around, you could pick Light Yuki from a selection card. Everybody has Light Yuki. So if you pull a Light Garuda when his shock was inferior, it didn't make any sense to pull a super rare Astromon and it be inferior to a nat 4 that everybody and their mom can get. But I'm glad that they changed that here. But yeah, once again, we do have the lovely Light Garuda. He's coming in with 32k HP, 4.4k attack, and then 3k defense. Very similar to the balance one, but that attack stat is pretty dope. I am 100% down with that. And with him also being a light type, we do have that built-in, naturally higher crit rate, so it's easier to max out that crit rate to then boost up that crit damage or his attack. So keep that in mind too. But let's take a look at these lovely skills here. So for both 3 and 5-star skills, if you have a Light Yuki, same thing right here, 80% chance to shock the foe for 2 turns. Okay, same thing for the 5-star skill. This is Light Yuki, but obviously just a nat 5. And then for his ultimate skill, we do have Predator, to where critical hits increase damage dealt by 25%. Say no more, fam. Say no more. Now, I do have 2 Light Garudas. Do I want his ultimate evolution? Absolutely. Will I be pulling with trinkets? I haven't decided yet. I may dip my toes into there, but I'm not sure. But that Predator change is that Predator edition is quite chunky. So Shock's main spiel is just being crowd control with some added damage in there, and if I can stack on more damage every time I do this skill, because he should be critting, especially with him being a light type and a attacker, I'm totally down with that. So just more damage out of him is pretty much what's going on here. But taking a look at the books, it looks like 3-star Shock gets a lovely 25% damage boost and goes up to, 90% for 2 turns. The 5-star Shock gets a 15% damage boost and goes up to 100% for 2 turns. Okay, fair enough. This is the nat 5. This is a light nat 5. If you want to bring the heat, bring the heat. But overall, I would say that this is a decent upgrade to the lovely Light Garuda. Alright, and then last but not least, wow dude, he looks absolutely freaking sinister. Dark Garuda, oh yeah. That is a good variant color distribution too. I'm down with that. But yeah, we do have the lovely Dark Garuda. He's an attacker type as well. 31k HP, 4.4k attack, and then 2.9k defense. So slightly less than the light one, but that makes sense though, because he hits like a butt cheek on a stick with all that innate crit damage on him as a dark type, especially as an attacker with a 4.4k attack stat. But let's take a look at these skills right here. So for both the 3 and 5-star skill, we do have Elemental Edge. As I mentioned before, I'm not a super big fan of it, but since he's the dark type, I won't, make your guys' ears bleed with that. Basically, he can hit anything in the game and make sure that that's their weakness, and with his damage and crit damage, if it's high enough, he should still be doing decent damage. So you could pretty much bring him anywhere, though he's not a wave clearer. He's just pretty much wouldn't even say great value nuker at this point. I would argue and just say he's just a nuker just like everyone else, because Elemental Edge plus that attack stat and crit damage, he should be hitting pretty decently, at least from my quick math in my brain. But moving on here, we do have his ultimate skill, which is stun. Critical hits have a 50% chance to stun the enemy for 1 turn. So making sure that he has that crit rate up is very important. So not only can this dude nuke you, but he can also stun you. 50% chance, I would say it's fair, especially if he's critting every time. So once again, interesting upgrade. This could also kind of prevent him from getting nuked himself if you're lucky enough for that stun to go through, and if you're not lucky enough, it's either kill or be killed. But I think overall, it looks like the ultimate skills for Garuda is arguably a bit tame. There's nothing extremely spicy, but it does feel balanced outside of the water one. The water one to me just feels weird and bizarre, but I already stated that before. And with Elemental Edge on his 3-star skill, it looks like Dark Garuda receives a whopping, hold on, is my math correct? 40% damage boost for Elemental Edge on both skills. 40%. So if he's not hitting hard enough for you yet, and you book this up with this 4.4k attack stat, we're over here pushing super duper high crit damage and crit rate on him, Whew. I wish I had a Dark Garuda to kind of test that out. Not saying I have the Nat 5 books, but I would be interested to see how much damage he could kind of pull off with his ultimate evolution. So dude definitely hits like a butt cheek on his stick here. But anyways, you guys, that's pretty much the end for the lovely ultimate evolutions of Garuda. Once again, I think all of his skills, at least most of them, are fair enough. Nothing too crazy, but it gets the job done. And it's also a welcome upgrade to Garuda just in general. My thoughts on Garuda's period is, if you can pull light and dark, definitely kind of pump some gems into them bad boys, get them up to level 60 and all that good stuff. If you can book them, that's great. And in regards to RGB, I only use the wood one. I don't really see a need for the fire one or the water one, even with the ultimate evolution right here. So nothing outside of their stats has really changed. Wood, light, and dark is pretty much all that you need, at least in one man's opinion. But feel free to leave your opinion in the comments below. Subscribe if you guys haven't already, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace out.